Hi everyone, today we're going to learn about the relative clauses, but before that, you have to know what is a subject and an object. Subject ialah pembuat, object ialah penerima. So for example, in the sentence, I love you. I is the subject, love is the verb, you is the object. Okay, so I love you. Saya yang buat itu action love kepada anda, you. Okay, so relative clauses give us more information about the subject or the object of a sentence. So relative clauses ini ialah ayat yang memberi maklumat ekstra. They are introduced by the following relative pronouns: who, whom, which, that, where, why, when, whose. So we use who and whom untuk menunjukkan siapa, that itu, where di mana, why kenapa, when bila, whose siapa punya. So relative clauses ini memberi maklumat tambahan. Okay, so let's look at example of the sentence. The little girl is adopted. Okay, so kita tahu budak perempuan itu diambil anak angkat. But bila kita tambah the little girl who or that I look after during the day is adopted. So sekarang kita tahu, oh, kamu dah jaga pula budak tu pada waktu siang. Second, the laundry is filthy. Pakaian itu kotor. Kalau kita tambah relative clause, the laundry which or that is in the basket is filthy. So kita tahu pakaian yang dalam itu bakul yang kotor, bukan yang sampai di lantai itu, tapi yang dalam bakul. Next, that's the place. Itu tempat. Kenapa itu tempat? Extra information. That's the place where my father met my stepmother. Itulah tempat di mana bapa saya jumpa saya punya ibu tiri. That is the reason. Sebab apa? That is the reason why Joe is grumbling. Itulah sebab Joe marah-marah. That was the time. Itulah waktunya. Waktu apa? When I had an argument with my brother. Bila saya bergaduh dengan abang saya. And the last one, this is the woman. Inilah tu wanita. Kenapa ya? This is the woman whose daughter does our housework. Itulah wanita yang anak dia buat kerja rumah kami. So now, defining and non-defining relative clauses. A defining relative clause gives us important information which we need in order to understand the meaning of the main clause. Okay, maksud dia, ini relative clause sangat penting untuk kita tahu maksud itu ayat. Okay, for example here, the chore which or that I hate most is the washing up. Kerja yang paling saya tidak suka ialah cuci baju. Kalau kita buang ini relative clause, the chore is the washing up. Tidak arti. When, who, whom, that, and which are the objects of a defining relative clause, they can be omitted. For example here, the men who or that I invited to the get-together are my uncles. Okay, so the men is the object. So kita boleh buang who atau that. The men I invited to the get-together are my uncles. So tiap payah pakai who that pun masih betul. A non-defining relative clause gives us extra information which we do not need in order to understand the meaning of the main clause. Ya, maksud dia sini, kalau tiada itu extra ayat pun, kita masih faham maksud utama itu ayat. We must use commas to separate a non-defining relative clause from the main clause. So kalau kita mau tambah ini maklumat ekstra, kita mesti tambah koma. Okay, for example here, Molly, who often gossips, doesn't get along with her peers. Molly yang sentiasa bergosip, tidak bengam dengan kawan-kawan dia. Okay, kalau kita buang itu non-defining relative clause ini, iaitu who often gossips, kita masih tahu yang si Molly ini tidak bengam dengan kawan-kawan dia. So, maksud dia tidak berubah. Prepositions in relative clauses. Okay, so prepositions are like to and for. Okay, prepositions usually come at the end of the relative clause. Biasanya di belakang. They can also come before the relative pronoun, but this makes the sentence sound very formal. Boleh juga letak di depan, tapi ayat itu menjadi formal. His books about relationships, for which he is famous, sell very well. So ayat ini bunyi dia sangat formal. Okay, maksud dia sini, dia tentang hubungan yang membuatkan dia famous. But kalau kita letak itu for di belakang, his books about relationships, which he is famous for, sell very well. Maksud dia masih sama, cuma bunyi dia tidak terlampau formal sudah. Next, we cannot use a preposition before who or that. Okay, kita tidak boleh guna preposition macam to atau for sebelum who atau that. We can use one before whom, but that makes it sound very formal. Kita boleh guna, tapi sebelum itu perkataan whom. Okay, for example, the woman who or that I was talking to is my wife. So, who that I was talking to. So, itu tu selepas who atau that. But the next one, the woman to whom I was talking is my wife. Ada to di depan whom, bunyi dia menjadi lebih formal. When the preposition is before the relative pronoun, we cannot omit the relative pronoun even if it is the object of the relative clause. Maksud dia sini, kalau itu preposition sebelum itu relative pronoun, kita tidak boleh buang itu relative pronoun. Okay, for example, is this the object for which you won the prize? Kalau kita buang itu which, is this the project for you won the prize? Tidak arti sudah. Okay, tapi kalau itu preposition di belakang, for example, is this the project which or that you won that prize for? Di belakang kan? Kita boleh buang itu which. Is this the project you won the prize for? Alright? So, relative clause ini memberi kita extra information. For example, let's look at these two same sentences. Okay? Satu ada relative clause, satu tidak relative clause. Okay. A. My brother, who has written a book on personal relationships, lives in Scotland. My brother, who has written a book on personal relationships, lives in Scotland. Beza dia, satu ada relative clause, satu tidak relative clause. So of course, yang ada koma itu ialah relative clause. Mana satu yang menunjukkan dia ada banyak abang. Dan satu lagi menunjukkan dia ada satu abang sahaja. Ayat yang menunjukkan dia ada lebih daripada satu abang ialah ayat A. My brother, who has written a book of personal relationships, lives in Scotland. Macam mana kita tahu dia ada lebih dari satu abang? Sebab dia mesti bagi extra information. Dia ada banyak abang. So dia bilang, abang saya yang ini yang ada buku. Saya ada banyak abang, saya ada abang jadi doktor, saya ada abang yang engineer, ada abang lawyer. Tapi abang saya yang tulis buku ini, dia yang tinggal di Scotland. Dan yang B pula, kita tahu dia ada satu abang saja. My brother who has written a book on personal relationships lives in Scotland. So dia just mau cerita pasal abang dia yang tulis buku. Begitu. So, try and do exercise 3. Circle the correct words. And that's all for today. Thank you.